Call to order the regular Building Board of Appeals meeting for Thursday, August 15th, 2024. Can we have roll call, please?
Paul Darling,
Here.
Robert Hart,
Here.
Kevin Cox,
Here.
David Arnsdorf,
Here.
Hugh Flack is absent. For city staff, Mike Lemieux,
Here.
Michael Redmond,
Here.
John Reiser,
Present.
myself, Deborah Williams, and Juliette Harvey. Here. We have a quorum.
All right, thank you. Next item on the agenda is public commentary. Seeing no one in person, is no one virtually for public commentary either? Okay. We'll close the public commentary portion. Next item is approval of the agenda. Can we have a motion to approve that with the request we had?
I move to approve the agenda. Second.
With
With the,
flipping?
with the caveat that
Okay.
we're flipping.
Okay.
Yes.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the, looks like the March 21st meeting. Is there any comments on those minutes? Comments or adjustments or corrections? Can we have a motion to approve those?
Motion to approve. Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those are approved. The next item on the agenda is appeals, actions, and show cause hearings. The first one we're going to address is BBA 24005, Appeal 2227 Medford Drive, Ann Arbor. And do we have an applicant virtually for that?
Yes, I'm here. My name's Elizabeth Campbell. I'm the homeowner.
Okay, thank you. So the process is typically we have you present your, or we have the staff present their report on the variance, and then we'll have you present your request for appeal. The board will review the appeal and ask you questions, and then the staff may counter those discussions or questions about the presentation, and then we'll make a motion. So the first part will be staff making their request or report.
So the property at 227 Medford is a single-family house. It was built in 1957. Building permit was issued 5/28/24 for work described as basement framing. At plan review, it was noted on the approved site copy of the plan that the applicant stated ceiling projection to be greater than 6 feet for finish to finish, and all proposed doors would be 80 inches in height. On that was confirmed by Rick Foley, City of Ann Arbor plan reviewer. If it had been indicated that the ceiling would finish below 6 feet 4 inches, allowed by Appendix J of the 2015 Michigan Residential Code, this permit would not have been approved or issued. The plan reviewer was given inaccurate information, and upon rough inspection, it was noted that the existing ductwork is below the required ceiling height. Staff recommends this application be denied, as it doesn't meet the standards for approval. The code has not been misinterpreted. The provisions of the code do apply, and the existing condition is less safe than the minimum requirement of the 2015 Michigan Residential Code, Section AJ 601.4, ceiling heights. Essentially, what that section says is that in an existing basement that's being converted to habitable space, you need a minimum of 6 feet 8 inches from the floor to the ceiling, except that you can reduce that to 6 feet 4 inches under obstructions. The basis for this appeal is that the provisions of the code do not apply. Section G24, 24.56. That's not the proper. So that's where that ends. That
Okay, so we're
paragraph
going to
is
amend that in
not.
the appeal. If you
Yeah.
can look that number up.
So this appeal doesn't meet the standards of approval. The violations documented do not meet the requirements of the 2015 Michigan Residential Code and has not been misinterpreted. The provisions of the 2015 code do apply, and the reduction in ceiling height is less safe than the requirements of the code.
All right, thank you. So the applicant
I
can...
will say, the last sheet on the packet is the approved plan
Okay,
with the notes made by the plan reviewer.
okay. And do we know what the height below the ductwork is?
I believe it was stated that it's 6 feet 2 inches.
All right. Okay. So we can have the applicant make their presentation now. I would like to point out that the three ways that we can grant a variance is that the code doesn't apply, that the codes have been misinterpreted, or you're providing an altered form of construction. So if you could state in your presentation of which one of those three that you're seeking a variance under, that would be helpful.
Yes, I'd be happy to. My name is Elizabeth Campbell. I'm the homeowner. So we're doing it on basis number 3, improved construction. So I believe my contractor was simply unaware of the 6'4" requirement. And when as soon as the inspector informed us of it, we immediately called 2 different HVAC providers to come out and quote us to make it compliant with 6 feet 4 inches. The issue is that the overall volume of the ductwork would need to be changed, and it would require basically we would have to reduct the entire home to get the proper volume by removing the 2 inches that we have on the depth to the width. And both HVAC providers explained to us that they would have to have specially cut, laser cut ductwork in order to make it a 6 inch or a 2 inch reduced depth for the ductwork, and that the cost of that alone would be $12,500. That doesn't account for the additional cost to then add vents for the basement as we were trying to do it. And it's 2 inches away from the 6'4" requirement. We have been living like this with this ductwork without an issue since we bought the house. It's been this way. And we simply can't complete the basement with the additional cost of a minimum of $12,500. So the basement will sit half completed, half framed, half drywalled, because we are at this point and we wouldn't be able to finish it. I noted in the housing code, I realize this is building code, but in the housing code, it specifically says they won't grant variances under 6 feet. So there seems to be some understanding that in some instances, habitable basement space may have a clearance between 6 feet and 6'4" inches. I realize that's not the building code, it's a different code, but I did note that. So as it stands, we're just going to be stuck with a partially finished basement until I don't know when, because of the unexpected $12,500 cost for ductwork that we have been living with like this for the last 11 years. My husband is also here, Mr. Bates. I don't know if he wants to add anything to my statement.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Campbell. I would just say, we're not building new space here. We're just finishing the basement that we've been living with for more than a decade. This ductwork hasn't been a danger. I haven't hit my head on it. And I understand the intention of the code is to increase safety, but we haven't had a safety issue at all in the decade that we've had to live with that duct. So it just seems like this is a situation where a fairly reasonable accommodation could be reached to allow us to finish this project, especially since we're not building anything new, we're just finishing existing space.
Okay. Okay, thank you for your presentation. Any kind of rebuttal to that?
Yeah, I just want to say that Appendix J of the residential code is specifically written for existing basements. That's taken into consideration, and it's a reduced height from what the 2015 Michigan Building Code other sections would require. So in the code, they've already given a reduction for an understanding that sometimes basements won't meet the requirements of new construction. So the allowances were made down to 6 feet 4 inches.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the board to the applicant?
Yeah, I have one. Are you going to, was your intent to create framing around the existing ductwork?
No, we're not going to lower the height at all.
Okay.
No, it's,
So,
so there's no, we're essentially just going to leave the ductwork exposed as it is right now.
Okay.
And I see there was an egress window, but I don't see on the plan where that is as far as the headroom. It's there, okay. And where's the stairway here and the ductwork is here? So you
The
walk
egress
under,
window is on the other side of the basement, so
Okay.
it's far away from the egress window.
it's on the south wall, and that's already been inspected and
okay.
approved.
So it looks like to walk underneath the ductwork, the only space you're going to is an unfinished storage room and whatever is to the east of that space. What is that use of that space?
That's just storage. It's not livable, the space where people are going to be is the main area you see out, that where the stairs lead to. That's going to be the kids' play area. That's all to code. The bathroom that's being put in, that's all to code. And the office/bedroom, that's all to code. So the only time this would be an issue is when, we're, walking to use the storage area.
And there's a smoke detection on both sides of that ductwork as far as, part of the reason for headroom is partially is a volume for smoke to develop in the fire and stuff for you to get out safely. So with that being lower, smoke would kind of collect on each side of that. I assume there's a detector on each side of there, but I don't know, what that configuration is that's looking at additional detectors potentially to help offset that difference in headroom.
That's no problem. We'd
certainly
be
be
happy to
hap-
put up as many smoke detectors as you want.
I have a question. This was like this when you guys purchased the house?
Yes.
So it's an existing condition from the original building?
Yep. Yes.
And you guys are just trying to remodel it, and this was an existing thing?
Yes.
Correct, and we're not talking about modifying it at all. I mean, again, we tried to modify it to meet the standard, but the cost is the cost. So all we're doing is literally leaving it the exact same way that it has been for the last 10 years, but we are finishing the rest of the basement. But the ductwork is not going to be, there's going to be no additional framing or nothing added to the ductwork.
You're not adding volume, you're not putting registers in, you're not tapping to it,
We're-
and
We'll be adding vents through the bedroom area, but that ductwork actually meets code. The two sections that are,
I think my lovely wife is losing her reception here.
there's going to be no changes to the ductwork in question.
okay. Okay, we got it.
So the other ductwork that's needed for the basement and the bedroom taps into the line at a different point. So the HVAC specialists told us that wouldn't affect the overall volume.
And are all these walls down here new, or some of these things existing and some new? There's an unfinished basement basically now, and you're adding all the walls and the bathroom, or what is the scope?
The wall that separates the bathroom and the storage area is existing. And then the wall that runs east to west, there was a wall there that zigzagged a little bit. So we've replaced that with a straight wall across.
Mm-hmm.
And then the bathroom wall is new.
Does the duct that's closest to the structural post, does that run into the bathroom at that height?
Below the wall, maybe?
I don't know if you guys can hear me. It does go into the bathroom above where the vanity will be placed.
And how about over the water closet?
No, it jogs. So it does a dog leg left and goes back into the utility room.
You worry about hiding over the fixtures?
Is that an issue, Mike?
I don't know where the locations of the measurement are, just that it's below the minimum of the code.
So this is 6'2", the beam might be 6'4", it's possible it could be 2 inches, but hard to say.
No. The duct going over.
Yeah, the beam is 6'4".
The bottom of the beam is 6'4"?
No, the duct, if it extends into
Oh,
the
okay.
bathroom.
It would be the
if it's
same-
over the lavatory at
Yeah.
6'2", is that an issue?
That I don't
Probably the
know.
whole basement, probably. If the 6'2", it's for the whole,
Okay.
Yeah, the inspector noted that it
Yeah.
didn't meet the minimum requirement.
more than just in one spot, it's probably the whole
Right,
one,
the
is it
whole-
that? Yeah.
It's just there are two lines. The one is the kind of main north-south. I don't know if this is the right word. I'm a grant writer, not a HVAC guy, but
Where
the
is the
main
furnace?
trunk that runs north-south. And then there's a return that
Between right here, right
next
there,
to
okay.
it that is also below. But most of
Okay.
the ductwork in the basement, other than that, is up within the
Joist
joists.
space, yeah, okay.
Yeah, so the square footage in the basement that's actually underneath the sort of offending ductwork is only 23 square feet. It's just these two sort of lines. And then, as I indicated, it does extend, that ductwork does extend into the bathroom over the vanity only. So the vanity is below that ductwork. But it's not over the toilet.
Okay. The only reason I asked is because if a motion is made to approve your variance, I want to make sure that there isn't another hidden problem that's going to come back.
I deeply understand and totally agree. I want to make sure that we cover our bases, so if there's an objection to fixtures, we would motion for a variance for that as well.
Any other questions by the board to the applicant? And they don't need to have an egress window right out of the bedroom, or is there a separate egress window?
Egress needs to be at the bedroom.
And this is the bedroom here, or this is the bedroom? Oh, it's the laundry room, okay.
Yeah,
I
that's- I think
Okay,
that's
all
the-
right, so it's good for that, then, yeah. Okay. And the headroom has to be in all habitable spaces, is that correct?
Yes.
Or all spaces, so is the volume habitable?
Well, that,
It's
so yeah,
occupiable, is it
it's
habitable?
it's the 6'8" and the 6'4" is for habitable space.
Yeah. That would need to be in the mechanical room or potentially the laundry room, right?
Right.
So the real main focus is between the stairway and the bathroom, bedroom, those two spaces would. So, looks like we're working on a potential motion here, it looks like.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, picked up the wrong one.
You want a clean copy?
No, that's all right.
Basing it on appeal or denied? Which one? Appealed?
I had to do a cut and paste.
Okay.
So, all right. I move that in the case of BBA 24-0005, the appeal of the building official's decision that the oops,
Oops, I'm sorry. I was doing the same one.
sorry.
Yeah.
One moment.
This is the back, yeah. Is there a motion in that one? Is that-
Yeah, thank you. Okay. Starting over. I move that in the case of BBA 24-0005, the appeal of the building official's decision that the ceiling height must be at a minimum 6 foot 4 inches under obstructions at 2227 Medford is approved. I'm sorry, I got to start one more
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. I move that in the case of BBA 24-0005, the appeal of the building official's decision.
This in gas
No,
line's
you
not
know what?
correct.
There's a,
It's-
Where?
Yeah, it's the right address, but it's the wrong
yeah, so that's,
written up.
Oh,
do we,
It's the ceiling height,
yeah, the code sections are correct. It's
Yeah.
just the,
the summary, yeah,
Ceiling height requirement.
yeah. It seems like the denied one is correct terminology. Over here, the denied one might be the right write-up, but it's the,
right.
page 21. A little challenging here. Maybe the way to do it is do this.
I think I've got it.
I think page 21 gets you there, but changing the word denied to granted, if that's the
Yeah,
intent.
yeah, maybe the good starting point, yeah.
So use page 21, but either deny it or grant as you will.
Okay. Let's try this.
Fourth time, here we go.
Fourth time lucky. Okay. One more little. Okay. I move that in case BBA 24-005, the appeal of the building official's decision that the ceiling height must be at a minimum 6 foot 4 inches under obstruction at 2227 Medford is granted relief from the 2015 Michigan Residential Code. And the Building Board of Appeals reverses the building official's decisions for the following reason: that the applicant, number 3, the applicant will not increase the existing non-compliant condition. Stipulations include that there be smoke detection systems on both sides of the ductwork, that the underside of the ducts will not be finished, that there will not be, that the ceiling, the duct height will not be considered an impediment over the bathroom, lavatory, and water closet, and with a further recommendation that a protective cushioned corner edge to the ducts be provided.
Is that a stipulation or a recommendation?
That's a recommendation.
Mike, is that something you can do?
I mean, I can't enforce it. It's
Yeah, we
not-
can't enforce recommendations.
Okay.
You make it a requirement, what the protective edge would be, but that reduces the height of it potentially, wouldn't it?
It would, but I'm just worried about somebody walking into that
Yeah,
corner
yeah,
of the ductwork.
Yeah,
And it would seem that to have an extra little half-inch
Yeah, yeah.
intrusion into the
yeah.
ceiling height wouldn't be,
What about safety tape, visual safety tape? Would be no thickness and you see it more? I don't know.
just something.
Can we get a
Because,
second before we discuss this?
sure.
Is there a second to a motion?
Is there any more to the
I
motion?
second the motion.
All right.
And just, could you read it back so that Deborah Williams can get it down, and maybe the applicant's been writing this down too?
Okay.
So what are the stipulations?
The stipulations include smoke detection system on both sides of the
The duct.
duct bank. That the two ducts will not be finished on their undersides. That the height of the existing ducts will not be considered an impediment over the bathroom, lavatory, and water closet. And that there be a protective cushioned corner edge to the duct, to both ducts.
Is that number 4?
That's number 4.
Not an impediment over plumbing
Deborah,
fixtures.
you have that? Was there a finding with respect to 1, 2, or 3?
I think he said, was it 3 or was it misinterpreted? An unequally form of construction, it sounds like 3.
It's 3, but it's not a better or equal form of construction. It's an acknowledgement that it's an existing condition, an existing non-compliant condition that isn't going to be made worse.
In a way, it's kind of a modification of Appendix J, I guess you're saying, huh? It's a technical infeasibility of, you know. Okay, do we have a second on the motion?
Already did.
We had that, okay. Discussion? No discussion? You want to, those in favor? Say
Aye.
Aye. Those against? No against, okay, it passes 4-0. So you have a granted variance with the conditions stipulated. So you should be getting a notification from the building department with this variance approval.
Very good. Well, thank you all very much for your consideration. We really appreciate the variance. It's very generous of you all to do this for our family and to use your time for the city. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Paul, I'll send you an updated motion for you to sign.
Okay.
Can I ask a quick question? If you say, are you, Deborah, when you send that motion, do I see it?
Yeah.
Can I, what latitude do I have to make corrections?
None. None.
None?
Weighing in on that. That's why we gotta
Okay.
get it right. These should
Okay.
be almost in writing, and she's not gonna leave until she gets whatever was put on this record. We can't change it. What happened, it's an Open Meetings Act, there's just no authority to change anything. We can't make scrivener's errors, we don't have that.
Okay, it's clear.
Okay, we have an applicant for the second appeal now, Deborah. Okay,
Oh, which one? Oh, the one I didn't rip apart. Yeah.
okay, so the next item on the agenda is Appeal BBA 24002 at 1435 Catalina Drive, Ann Arbor. And the first item on the agenda, or the first item to talk about is the staff report there for that variance request.
So the property at 1435 Catalina, it's a single-family property that was built in 1958. Upon a mechanical inspection, under permit MECH 23-2654, it was noted that the gas line exits the house below grade and enters the garage below grade. Building permit was issued for 7/7/21 for work described as installing footing, garage floor, erect two-story garage structure, doors, windows, siding, roofing, gutters, sewer, water, electric. The building permit was finalized 6/29/23. Plumbing permit PLUMR 22-3190 for work described as installing rough plumbing system to garage structure, trench for drainage, water, gas line for future installation. The permit was issued 9/23/22, and no final inspection was performed on that permit, and it is currently expired. No mechanical permit was pulled for the gas line to the garage, which is required per section G 2415.6 of the 2015 Michigan Residential Code. The gas line exiting and entering the building below grade is a violation of the code. Staff recommends the application is denied as it doesn't meet the standards for the code. The code has not been misinterpreted, and the provisions of the code do apply. The existing condition is less safe than the minimum requirement of the 2015 Michigan Residential Code, section G 2415.6, that states the underground penetrations prohibited. Gas piping shall not penetrate building foundation walls at any point below grade. Gas piping shall enter and exit a building at a point above grade, and the annular space between the pipe and the wall shall be sealed. Contractor responsibility is another section that I wanted to reference during this, with regards to the contractor who installed the gas line. It shall be the duty of every person who performs work for the installation or repair of building, structure, electrical, gas, mechanical, and plumbing systems for which this code is applicable to comply to the code. The gas line is mentioned in plumbing permit 223190, but no mechanical permit was issued for the gas line. The inspector on the final inspection of the mechanical 232654 stated in his inspection that the gas pressure test was approved, but the contractor that installed the gas line to the garage was installed with no permit, no inspection. The gas line is installed below grade in-house and below grade slab and garage. It needs to be corrected before generator final is approved. And then he makes a note to the current contractor who pulled the permit for the generator installation that there's no action on their part needed at this time, and that he could be contacted with questions. The basis of the appeal is that the provisions of the code do not apply. Section Section G 2415.6 was the adopted code at the time of installation and clearly states that underground penetrations are prohibited. With that, this appeal doesn't meet the standards of approval.
Okay, thank you. So now we're going to have the applicant present their request for a variance, and if you can state which standard for approval you're looking for a variance for, if the intent of the code doesn't apply, if you're providing something equally or good or better than the code, or if the code has been misinterpreted.
So, hi, my name is Steve Fries. I'm the homeowner. I apologize, I am not a contractor, so I might not be using all the correct terms. I hope you'll bear with me for a moment. So the reason that we asked for the variance was that everything that we did for this generator and what is being held up now is this generator, only about, I don't know, 6 or 8 feet of pipe was installed, and then the generator was installed. So basically everything for this generator that is being looked at meets the code. So what doesn't meet the code was previous work that, again, had been, I thought, all finalized and all good. So we were actually very surprised to find that there was an issue with anything. So like I said, the basis for the appeal was basically that we were kind of grandfathered in on the old stuff, and then the new stuff all met.
Okay.
When was, can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
When was the old stuff put in?
Construction started in 2022 and finished in 2023. I don't know the exact months, I apologize.
This was your contractor that installed it,
Correct, yeah.
the underground pipe?
Yes. I mean, so we went through sort of a general contractor, right? And he had some stuff that was sort of subcontracted. I guess as far as like who's licensed for what, I can't say exactly who did what, but I have contact information for my general contractor.
I have a question about the general run of the gas line. So
Okay,
the original house dates from 1958.
correct.
The gas comes into a meter,
That is correct.
and then is there a basement to the house?
Yes,
Okay, so from the meter across to where the new garage addition is, does that run across the ceiling of the basement?
yes,
Okay. It then goes through the foundation wall of the house and turns up into the new garage?
It's attached garage or detached garage?
it is a detached garage. So there's, I don't know, 20 feet or so that it runs underground. And we ran it at the same time we ran plumbing and water out there.
Detached garage. So what is the photograph on page 17 illustrating? Is it illustrating where the gas pipe is running from the house underground, and then it turns up in the garage, and then it goes back outside of the garage to the generator?
I apologize, I'm not looking at it right this second, but I can kind of describe it. So it goes through the foundation wall of the house, it runs underground, it does run underneath it runs through the foundation wall and then comes up through the garage floor. I think I had one picture of it coming through the garage floor, which was, again, old work. Then it runs up the wall and along the ceiling of the garage, and then down the wall and through the wall above grade to where the generator was installed. And that above grade point where it goes through the wall into the generator is what's on this permit.
I think to be code compliant, it would have to come up through the wall like this, go back down below ground, back up around through like this. It should have went up to like this instead of right through the wall, and then up above grade for the fitting.
So on page 17, that stub up through the floor, if you flip to the other side of that concrete block, you would be outside.
That is correct.
So it seems, I mean, am I misunderstanding this? If they tap the gas line on the outside of the garage, bring it up a foot, and then connect back into the garage, they'd be all right?
That would be code compliant.
Plus on the house.
At the house,
Plus
and
on
then
both sides, house and, yeah.
I 100% agree.
with, it would need to do something similar at the house,
Yeah.
come out above grade and then
So
go.
that, yeah.
Has
Cut
the
the shit out.
contractor looked at stubbing it up outside versus, you know, what attempts have been made right now? It seems,
I guess no attempts have been made. The complaint that we had was that it's entirely in one, I mean, I wouldn't even call it a pipe for me. It's like that yellow, you know, like what you attach a hose to hard pipe to like your stove or dryer. except it's like 2-inch pipe, but it's only one piece from where it leaves the house to where it is just below the grade. So it seemed very silly to go cut into that and add more joints when the issue is I assume the issue with this code and why the code was updated was for leaks. So it seemed silly to put more joints in as potential leak points when we already passed the pressure test.
You passed the pressure test for your new stuff, not for the old stuff.
We passed the pressure test for the old stuff as well. Everything was pressure tested when it was installed. So when the garage was installed, we did that, and we ran a bunch of pipe in preparation for this generator install. And then the generator install, they did pressure testing too, and again, it passed.
But the issue isn't the pressure test. The issue is the fact that you've got a gas pipe coming in under the garage slab and then turning up in the garage. If it turned outside the garage and then came into the garage above the slab, it'd be fine. I mean, it seems like a relatively simple fix to comply with the code.
Yeah, the only issue is that it's brand new concrete outside that we would have to dig up and then dig up the sections of yard between it to make all these connections. Because it is, like I said, it got installed with the waste line, the water line, and
Same trench.
sorry, those two. So it's relatively deep and under new concrete.
Yeah. Is that code
But it
complete
was
in the same
never,
trench?
was there ever a final inspection or a rough inspection? I mean, as a contractor, you have multiple phases of construction. So you have your rough that would turn it up into it, and at that point, the plumbing inspector should have said, stop, no, this is not approved. And then, to me, it looks like, do we have a history on these inspections? Was it ever approved?
So for the gas line on the initial build that was associated with the initial garage permit, or with the original garage, there was no mechanical permit pulled for the gas line.
So somebody just came in and put it in without an inspection?
No permit, so.
There wasn't a permit, so it wasn't inspected.
Yeah.
That's where my problem.
And the plumbing inspector would have been out there, he didn't notice the fact there's a gas line in the same trench.
And
Yeah.
I can't speak to
Yeah.
what but
Yeah, that would have been an opportunity potentially to flag it, but,
yeah, possibly.
yeah.
Yeah, and I don't want to point fingers at anybody, but I mean, we had inspectors out, I swear it was like 25 times for different things. And I know that we asked about this, and it was like, hey, that's not what I do. We didn't, it seemed like it kind of fell into a gray area, and I apologize if it sounds like I'm making excuses, but we weren't putting anything mechanical in. We were only putting the gas line in for future work. And so it seemed like everybody was kind of saying, no, that's not what I do. You're not doing any mechanical stuff. Because, like I said, there was no heater, there was no generator, there's nothing out there for the natural gas to go to.
Nothing being served.
But it was definitely seen many, many times. It was one of the first things that happened. I mean, it came through the concrete, so that was done before a stick of wood was put up.
And that's the reason that I included the contractor's responsibility, section
Yeah.
R105.8.
Yeah. And are you still have a relationship with the general contractor that built the garage? He'd be able to fix this stuff, or?
I mean,
He didn't close the
no
permit out.
offense.
I guess
No
the
offense to the
permit-
guys
I
that
guess the
put the
permit is
couplings
closed out,
on, but
it's not
Well,
for-
there wasn't
no permit
a
for that.
mechanical permit for the
Yeah.
gas line, so
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
nowhere.
I mean, the general contractor, bottom line, did the work. He had somebody come in.
Yeah, yeah.
It didn't just
Yeah.
pop up right
He didn't
there.
show up one day with, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And so
Yeah.
the general contractor should take this as his responsibility to make it right, even if
Yeah.
there's concrete being poured, even if there's concrete that needs to be cut, anything like that.
Yeah.
The general contractor falls back on them to
Make it right.
make it right.
Yeah. Mhm.
But yeah, my issue is just that there was never a permit pulled. So at one point, someone had to say, this is not approved because of this.
Yeah.
And-
They'll observe it and realize it and then
Right.
have that sink in, yeah. Yeah.
And then concrete was poured should have been poured.
Just an unrelated question, but when all the utilities for the garage, when that trench was dug, are all the pipes in the same trench?
Yes, they're at different levels. They're slightly offset because trying to remember, I think the waste line had to be a different depth than the feed line for the water. But yes, they are, it was about 3 feet wide and I don't know,
Yeah.
5 feet or so deep, but
Yeah.
but they're near each other, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't, I'm more than positive, I have to confirm this, you can't go in the same trench with electrical and gas.
Not electrical, sorry. Only water out, waste back, because the waste ties into our house, and the gas. There's no electrical in the same trench. I apologize if I said that.
Yeah. I mean, the worst case, they could run a different whole new gas line, but if you forgot to bring it back down and tie it back into that thing, it seems like you're gonna cut a hole in each end.
Well, the
Makes it
thing
really
is that you have to have a solid pipe. It has to have a
Yes.
solid run
Yeah,
from
yeah.
A to B.
You have a lot of joint,
That,
yeah,
right
yeah.
now, that is what he has.
Yeah, yeah,
He's got that solid pipe. The problem is
Yeah.
that if there ever anything happened to that, the explosion of that line would blow up that foundation and
That's
take
where
the
they want
house
it.
with it.
That's where they want
Instead
outside.
of staying
Yeah.
outside
Yeah, yeah,
and burn up the side of the house where
Yeah.
fire ratings are
Yeah,
put in
uh-huh.
place for that reason. And because you went through a foundation, that's the problem. And if they don't have the proper, like you can't see right now, if, you know, they don't have, the concrete is flat around that pipe and there's no protection around that pipe. You can't put concrete up against this because
Yeah.
lime will deteriorate that line. And that's why they put cushion around
Yeah.
those lines. So whoever did this did it for hey, let's just throw a gas line in here just for the future, but they just didn't do it right. And that's your conduit, your gas line will deteriorate over time. It's a great gas line, but the concrete itself will deteriorate that gas line. And that contractor should come back, rip this up, pay for the foundation, pay for every bit of turn this up outside and put it right. And that's what should happen.
So is there a way that even have to remove this line? Because even if they abandon this line, it still connects, you know, I guess if we don't gas connection at either end of it, I guess.
Well, very, very well, they could chip up the concrete that's right there, they could chip up the concrete that's on the outside, and they
Yeah.
could pull it, dig it down, pull it out,
Yeah.
bend it back up on the outside of the
Yeah,
house,
you got enough
put
room
it
there.
on your
Yeah.
connections,
Yeah, uh-huh.
and like that's what you would try to do.
Yeah,
And
uh-huh.
if the gas line, and with that, you're gonna be cutting off the part that is bent and is corroded and under pressure, and you're not compromising the single line that comes from the house to the outside. It's just lazy construction, that's all this is.
There is something, I don't know if it's obvious, but they said it was specifically made to go through concrete. And again, I'm far from an expert, so I apologize if that doesn't even make sense. But that was what they told us, is that this stuff was made to come through concrete, and that's how it works.
Well,
But again, I'll yield to your judgment on that.
the problem is we don't have any cut sheets, we don't have any specifications, we don't have anything that has that. If it does, you know, there's some kind of numbers on the side of it, but you can't read any of that stuff. Your better bet, in my opinion, would be getting on the phone with the contractor, getting this explanation directly from him before we make a decision, and have him come and defend what he did. And if he does have evidence that shows that it can do that, it can do these things, then that's what it is. But right now, what you're looking at, just having that concrete tight around your gas line, it's not okay. You can't do that. and you shouldn't have it go through your house, because you don't, if he took enough, in my opinion, if he took enough risk just to throw that in there for you, who knows what it looks like going through your foundation? What looks is underneath there, and how much water is coming through the line if you didn't seal that line coming through your foundation wall? What kind of cracks you're going to have? What kind of shifts, movements, all that stuff. If this line ever blows up, you lose your entire corner of your house, and it's a 2-story garage.
Correct.
I wouldn't take that risk in my own house, having my kids there, you know, if something ever happened, just because of a lazy contractor.
Okay.
The other issue with concrete around a pipe like that is it prevents any movement. And pipes want to move. So they get warm, they expand, and we actually design pipe connections to allow a little flex. And if you grab something and hold it tight like that, what you're likely to get is cracks around that location as the pipe shifts over time. Temperature changes will cause cracks because you're holding it really tight in one spot.
Yeah.
That's the other reason why you put a collar around it,
Right, yeah.
just to let it flex.
Because it's pretty much a clamped system that it'll allow movement and flex in your line. And so right now, with it unable to move like this, it's just gonna hold like this, and that's just gonna break open if the heat and, you know, the temperature on the outside of the house to the inside of the house. That's why houses move. And that it will break, and it just wouldn't be a good thing. I feel like they kind of took advantage of you right here.
Any further discussion from the board or the staff?
I would think about before we make a motion on if, once we make the motion, that's what you have to do. If you want to table it and come back for next month and talk to your contractor about coming in here and see what other options you might have, and what he might have if he comes up with anything. Because if we end up approving or denying it, there's no overturning that decision.
Okay. And I can reach out to him. I know that he mentioned several times that it was like, this is the way that you do things. I know that at least when it goes through the foundation, it is sleeved.
Wait,
Obviously, that's
excuse
not
me.
the biggest thing going on here, but
That's not the point. That's not the point. The point is that the current configuration doesn't meet code. The only way around it is to get it out of the picture that's on page 17 and have the gas line come up outside the house or outside the garage structure and then back in. Right now, it's underneath the garage slab, and you can't do that. That's the issue. I mean, all the other things that were said about the pipe movement and concrete up against the pipe is true, but the basic issue, as I understand it,
Yeah.
is that it's
Already-
coming in underneath
Yeah.
the garage slab, and that's a no-no. And there's no way to finesse that. So,
That's true. That's true. Because
so,
it's not whether or not the
Yeah, so-
contractor said it doesn't belong there.
Yeah, we came up with additional reasons why that's not.
Right.
Yeah,
That should have been there in the
exactly.
first place, yeah.
That's true.
Can I say that if it were a separate appeal, that it should be an appeal not brought for, like, I feel like we should separate the two. If you think the contractor should be the person who's making an appeal, I think that it's a separate appeal from what the homeowner's doing, but that's just my.
I personally agree with the fact is, I brought up a separate issue, right? Like, my separate issue is that the pipe is not, it shouldn't be in that concrete in the first place. That's not what the question is.
That's not the variance
The
request.
question right
Yeah.
now is that it's coming in through the side of the house into the garage, and it can't do that. That is what is that
Yes.
question
Yeah.
here, not the other thing.
Right.
Is the contractor still liable for this? Yes, he did something, it wasn't approved, it wasn't anything, absolutely. If he wants to make the contractor a fault here, but, yeah, that's not.
I would think that the strength of your argument with your contractor is that you tried to get a variance for his work, and it didn't pass muster.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
What he did is legal, and he gave you false information that you can do it and it'll be okay, but it's not, and you can't do it. So what your contract with him is to do stuff per code, per building, per everything, and he didn't do it, especially trying to hide a gas line. A gas line you don't mess with. That's a very big plumbing thing that will make or break a house. So I'd go right back to him and put this all on his lap.
Okay.
Have a motion?
I moved it in the case of, let me make sure I get the right ones. I moved it in the case of BBA 24-0002. The appeal of the building official's decision that the gas line installed at 1435 Catalina Drive is denied, and the Board of Appeals, the Building Board of Appeals affirms the building official's decision for the following reasons. One, that the true intent of the 2015 Michigan Residential Code in Section G 2415.6 for the gas line installed at 1435 Catalina Drive have been correctly interpreted by the building official. Two, that the provision of the 2015 Michigan Residential Code, Section G 2415.6, does apply to the construction of 1435 Catalina Drive. And three, the applicant has not proposed an equal or better form of construction.
Thank you. Do you have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The variance is denied.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you for your time. All right. That closes the appeals, actions, and show clause hearing portion of the agenda. Old business? Anything? Nothing? New business? Nothing? A motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes. 228.